know, do you think that is enough? Do you think Pakistan has come out on top on this in this encounter? South Africa, if they don't score 309, they will certainly be staring at the exit door. Now, looking at the scorecard, Haris Sohail has been the star in this encounter. Constance and I have been following this game with great interest because we were hoping that Pakistan's side will come out on top. We're also live on YouTube, by the way, so hello to our YouTube viewers and Facebook viewers as well. Constance, let's break it down. Pakistan's innings, good or could have been better?
Absolutely. I think for starters, everything went according to script. So I think if you had asked Pakistan whether they'd have taken 300 batting first, I think any day they would have taken it. And most importantly, everyone has contributed to this total. If we look at the top 5 or top 6, everyone has come to the party and has actually done well. And the fact that Pakistan has a bowling lineup, I think they will feel comfortable defending this rather than something maybe a sub 300 total. Could have been slightly more, I thought, but we don't know whether the wicket stays the same. If it gets a little bit slower, then I think South Africa should be challenged. And of course, they say scoreboard pressure is something that may work against the South Africans. So we'll have to see whether they can step up to the plate. And my only worry with South Africa is that they have 5 specialist batsmen. So 1 or 2 of them have to go on to get a really big score and stay on till the end. Because after that, you've got 2 all-rounders and then you've got the tail following up.
That's true.
4, the tail begins very quickly. So they've got 5 proper batsmen at the top and they have to fire should they make a match of this.
Definitely, and I think that for Pakistan to make their early inroads is very crucial as well. Very important to put the pressure very early on because you don't want it to slide to go down the wire. Because we've seen Bangladesh being able to chase down a very, very impressive score as well. Now let's look at a couple of players that you can sort of say have done well. But Pakistan tends to do really well when their openers fire. So it was very welcome news for a lot of fans.
Welcome news, absolutely, because I think it was a good opening stand of 82. I think in decent time, I think around 15 overs or so. So it was I think it was a measured start, and I think more importantly, solidity that it offered to the entire build-up.
Yes, it did. Now, looking at the score as well, Fakhar Zaman, he got out in a very weird fashion. It was a premeditated shot. I think Fakhar Zaman, the way he was playing, the confidence that he showed, it seemed like it could have been a century because he did survive a dropped catch.
It had elements of the same dismissal against India.
Yes,
if you recall. So I think. I hope he doesn't get into the habit of doing this because I think he was doing pretty well up until that.
He was doing well, and the opening pair was very, very important as well. So Pakistan were off to a flyer at the start, you could say. It was a cautious approach, you think? It was a lot of strike rates. If you can look at it from the top 4 players, 75, 88, 86.25 and 60 from Mohammad Hafiz before Haris Sohail and Imad Wasim steered.
I think for me, the defining innings in that entire lineup was that of Haris Sohail.
89,
because he just comes into the game now, and I think he was pivotal to that total going up to 300. He stood there. So I think he was, of course, Babar Azam as his usual self, but I would have liked, as I mentioned, we would have all liked Babar Azam to have gone and probably scored 100, but that didn't happen. But I think the important fact is that Haris Sohail has scored those runs with fewer balls. So that shows the kind of confidence the man has. So it shows what Pakistan may have lost in the previous games.
Yes, Haris Sohail it seemed like he was a bit out of form, especially when we saw his innings against West Indies. Definitely was very massive disappointment for a lot of fans because they thought he would come, anchor the innings and do something, do magic. But sadly, he had to fail at that time. So some solidity in the lower order was very, very important. You know what, I think if I were to analyse it a little bit more in detail, do you think Haris Sohail and Babar Azam being on the pitch reminds Pakistani fans of the Yusuf Yohana, Mohammad Yusuf and Yunus Khan partnership that you always had in the middle to steer the innings well? That could be it.
Well, it's really unfair to compare. I mean, they are legends in their own right, and it's unfair to compare different eras, but I think they have a long way to go before they can stake their claim to those legends, I think. Pardon me for having said that.
Yeah, but I think that I can certainly see there's a potential because obviously both the players are very, very early on in their careers.
Absolutely.
Yunus Khan was also not that impressive one-day player when he emerged, but
Absolutely.
Going down the line, they took on responsibility after Jaz Ahmed and Inzamam left. They came into for their play, so they have this potential because there was a big talk from the Pakistani fans revamp the whole side in down now.
I was wondering whether Haris Sohail should have got a longer run, even as you mentioned, he didn't get a chance, after the West Indies failure,
Yeah.
they didn't pick him. I think a little longer rope would have done him some good and done his confidence a ball.
Definitely.
So I think maybe they should persist with him. I've heard some of the ex-cricketers saying that, you should persist with players when you plant them, give them an
Yeah.
opportunity to actually go out there. Even if they fail, you persist, because otherwise you're just looking down the battle.
Yeah, definitely. I think one big question mark that Haris Sohail always used to face was strike rate. Today, he proved it
Excellent.
wrong. He proved
He
it
was
wrong.
going at what, 150?
100.
You'd take that any day, wouldn't
Yes,
you?
exactly. You'd want that. Imad Wasim also played a decent knock over here. So now looking at the score overall, is it defendable? Is the big question mark that most Pakistan fans will have. Looking at the pitch, we can see that spin might play a very, very important role.
Surprisingly, Imran Tahir did mention that the ball was stopping a bit. So if he mentioned that, I think there is some worry for him, for his side in chasing that down. And it all boils down to how good the opening stand is. So if Quinton de Kock gets on to fly and maintains his form at the top of the order along with Hashim Amla, who obviously holds one end up, I think the start will be vital. But
Yes.
should that not happen, I think Pakistan will soon make inroads, and I think
Definitely favour the chances. Looking at the South African batting lineup, Hashim Amla hasn't fired off and been that impressive, but so far you can see that this could be his day because he loves batting against the Pakistani bowlers.
But let's have a look at the comments.
Yes,
and
we'll
let's
have
see
to.
what we have.
You'll have to put this through. We'll just check in terms of what the people are saying, the fans. It's all up to you. We're inviting your thoughts on the Facebook and YouTube page in terms of what you guys think
I'm
of
sure they
the
will,
score.
all our Pakistani readers will be smiling and
Yes,
enjoying
it's
this.
happy days indeed. And we'll just go onto our Facebook page over here and see what people have to say so far. And looking at the game,
Pakistan will win, and I think Mohammad Rizwan Shafiq says we love Pakistan.
Mir Mohsin says Mohammed Amir is enough. Well, certainly got a role to play in this encounter. It's going to be a very important game that we'll all look forward to see and cheering on the Pakistan side and see how they fare in this encounter. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think 308 is enough? Sayyid Mahmood Hussain says SA win. Mark my words, Rajesh Malkani is back on the Facebook page. He says that South Africa will win this match. Mark my words. Well, anything is
He's
possible.
a clairvoyant, I suppose.
Yes, anything is possible. Look, 309. Pakistan, I think, with looking at this scoreboard, they were 295 for 5 in 48 overs. I think they missed the trick by capitalising with additional 30 runs in those 2 overs. You could have expected the set batsman to fire, but look, things like that happen. When suddenly you have a target of saying we're going to score 20 runs in this over, you do lose wickets.
And I think coming in from a loss of the previous game, I think you'd much rather take in 308 and to start with, and then work on your bowling. They have the bowling lineup,
Yes.
obviously. So I think they may have it in them to
Yeah, and
stop this.
in the previous discussion leading up to the game, I said 280 above.
I think you
Pakistan
said that. Yes.
will certainly fancy their chances, and it does look like it. However, whenever there is the end of the session and a couple of celebrations out from the fielding side, they also fancy their chances, restricting players and getting away with the wickets, so it brings your momentum up slightly because South Africa might feel that Pakistan were 10 or 20 runs short, but Pakistan would say we've got enough firepower in the bowling unit and the spin variation, especially when the pitch is turning. And Lords again, favourite ground of theirs in the UK. They always win Test matches there, always win their one-day internationals also.
And a good record against the South Africans.
And a good record against, recent record against South Africans. Certainly it's been important. Now a lot of fans were saying they're comparing this to 1992 when there was the 6th match when Inzamam ul Haq appeared onto the pitch and there was a sudden re-emergence of the new Pakistan and from the 92 World Cup and a poor start. But things looking very, very hopeful for Pakistan at the moment.
I think at halfway stage, I think as I mentioned, they
Yeah.
take it any day. And of course, the other half is more important, as we know. They've got to field well, and I hope they latch onto those catches because it's so vital. And we've seen times where they've spilled those. So I think fielding is very important. South Africa does traditionally run very well between the wickets.
Yes.
And, so they have got to step up to the plate. Yes, and I think the initial overs are going to be so crucial because scoreboard pressure will build up.
Who do you think?
So Mohammad Amir is obviously key,
Yeah.
just as he has bowled brilliantly in all the games that even when the others have not. So he will be key, and Pakistan will be looking to him to provide those initial breakthroughs after.
Yes, definitely. Now, there's been lots of people saying Pakistan will win today. I am sure the army chief is in the ground. Rajesh Malkani says, be ready to break your second TV. So he's back again with his comments. Too much clouds behind the Khaleej Times commentator. This is the UK.
But there's sun as well.
There is sun. There's always, look, when you go down, the only way is up afterwards. So Pakistan team certainly look like a team that they can certainly pull this one through and actually secure and earn more chances of qualifying. Because there was one question from our reader that said, what are the chances of qualification for Pakistan into the semis? Well, they have to rely on England to do poorly in the next few encounters. They have to rely on New Zealand to concede a defeat and also lose to Pakistan as well. So it's all to play for. There's lots calculation-wise, but what they should certainly focus on is winning with big margins at the moment.
Yes, I think that would be ideal, but I think winning would be first.
Winning would be first. Net run rate isn't the greatest, but they certainly have something to look out for. But look, if Pakistan wins this, they pull it through, maybe restrict South Africa, bowl them out before 200, that will be huge morale boost for them.
Absolutely, I can't agree more.
Yes, and that will certainly put teams such as New Zealand, teams such as Bangladesh and Afghanistan slightly nervous. And as Michael Vaughan said today on his Twitter as well, the other Pakistan have suddenly turned up, and so it's just a different phase and a different energy they bring.
And which begs the question whether they should have batted the other day
Yes.
when they played India, because they've shown it's when all the top five the top five have actually fired at this game.
Yeah,
And have been scoring. So I think
it will be very interesting to see. But I think we know what Sarfaraz tried to do in the game against India. He made it clear in his press conference saying, my idea was restrict them to a certain total, then you play a T20 game because you're playing with the DLS method. Sadly for his side, the batting didn't fire at the right time. So eventually it was a pretty big target, and then they only lost by 86 runs. You could say only. The reason why we say only is because the target was pretty huge by the time the showers were pouring down. Now, lots of people saying that Pakistan is, they can't hear something. Rajesh Malkani says there's an audio
no
issue.
voice. Is it?
If you are suffering from internet issues, do let us know on the comments section if you can't hear. But it is going to be something that we're all looking forward to. South Africa can fancy the chances if they bat well, but so far, by the looks of things, it should be a very comfortable and a potential Pakistani win, because it's so important, those early wickets, because Quinton de Kock and Hashim Amla haven't fired, but when they do fire, they can take the game away anytime. So it's all about Mohammad Amir with his swing bowling and bowling in the right areas. Shaheen Afridi as well.
And while we're saying that, I can also see one of our ex-colleagues here, Vinay Kamath, is also watching. So hi, Vinay Kamath.
Hello, Vinay.
Hope you're watching this with a lot of interest.
Yes, it's going to be something that everyone's going to be very excited about for sure. Some people saying that they can't hear, and some people saying negative people can't hear. So a lot of banter going on in our Facebook comment section, which is very, very important. So let us know your thoughts in terms of, is 309 defendable for the Pakistan bowling attack? As I said earlier, 280 is par score for Pakistan to fancy the chances, but it's very important that Shaheen Afridi finds his rhythm and bowls in the right areas. The last thing they want is one bowler to be targeted, and one bowler who's also been looked after or seen as a strike bowler, because we think he's got the wicket-taking abilities. He does. He's impressed in South Africa, against South Africa, but all to play for.
All to play for, and I think probably the spinners might get into the end.
Spinners gotta come into the
They'll have a role to play, I think, for sure.
Definitely. Imad certainly seems like a player that wants to have his say, given the off-field debate that has been ongoing. Lastly, let's focus on what should South Africa's strategy be. I know there's lots of South African viewers that we get in Khaleej Times. They might be slightly worried and saying, is this biased reporting? But I think, who do you think will shoulder the most of the responsibility to pull off for South Africa?
Well, I think obviously it's a combination of someone holding one end up, because usually South Africa relies on Quinton de Kock scoring the runs quickly,
Yes.
and throwing the opposition completely off balance, because it then puts the bowlers under pressure. That's the usual script. Hashim Amla holds one end up,
Yeah.
and they rely on that start to pull them through, because they have chased higher totals in the past. So I think that would be their game plan.
Definitely.
But the moment they start losing wickets, as with any other team, then I think everything goes to toss, because they've just got 5 specialist batsmen, and then you go down into the all-rounder section, and then they haven't really shown much of promise, to be honest. So I think everything hinges around the top 3 or 4, with Faf coming in at 3. I think that's very important. Markram comes in at 4, Van der Dusen, and then you've got all the all-rounders after that.
Yeah.
So I think the start is vital. If Quinton de Kock is able to fire off as usual, then I think. And they might probably go in with a spinner too against Quinton de Kock, because I think he's slightly suspect against spin. So we don't know whether they will start with both fast bowlers at the beginning. Maybe they might test him with some few overs of spin at the start. Who knows?
It'll be good if Imad Wasim gets a chance with the new ball. He fancies his chances with the new ball. Obviously, left-hand batsman ahead of him as well. So it's going to be an even contest. It'll be an interesting one. Both teams really want this win. So far, Pakistan has had a good say. They've faced the pitch, they've faced the South African bowling attack, very lethal bowling attack of South Africa as well. But it's all down to who can hold their nerves. Thank you for joining our broadcast today. We'll keep you updated with all the scores, and of course you can follow KhaleejTimes.com. We have a dedicated match centre there with all the scores and updates, and we'll be back again tomorrow with more debate and discussion on the Cricket World Cup 30th game. Time has passed very quickly indeed. Thank you for joining us today, and it's goodbye for now.
Thank you. Goodbye.